Alrighty guys, welcome to the weekend video. It's Saturday morning here in Ireland, and so far the weather's holding up. I want to get the video done and then get out in the fresh air. So I'm going to try and keep this a little bit shorter. Last week, even though I tried, it still went on to about about 30 minutes long. So I'm going to excuse me, going to run you through a quick overview of where we stand after this week's action. All right, I'm going to start on the 4-hour euro-dollar chart, and I'm just going to run you through the updated wave count on that chart. So off the high here at what was it, 119? I want to say 120 something. I'll actually get a price on that. 128 or so. All right, off the recent high, I'm tracking an impulse wave down with a correction. Now, this correction, obviously, I thought was going to go in wave 2. I thought was going to go a little higher to trace out a kind of a flat correction here. But we had this spill to the downside on Friday, which has kind of changed back a little bit. So I'll just run through what we have so far. I think we've got wave 1 down. I think it was kind of probably a wedge. Wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and wave 5. And I think that probably that whole pattern could be counted as a wedge. Let's make that a bit bigger there. Get rid of that. Really do this on the fly. I probably should be more prepared, but that's life. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you could probably, you could call that a wedge to the downside on wave 1. And since that, we had a rally up to the recent high, which was, it looks most likely that it's an expanded flat. So A, B, C in wave 2. And now what we're doing is 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So we'll get into the short-term chart. So we're talking about a 5-wave pattern down in wave 3 brown at the moment. Wave 3 brackets, if you want to call it that. So I'll get into the short-term chart and we'll see how that's going to fare out. Let's get a better color than that. Black, probably. Suffice to say that what we're looking at here is wave 1 down, wave 2, and we should get a continuation of a sharp decline in wave 3. So let's get into the short-term chart and see how that's kind of fared out so far. Like I said, I did expect this pattern to be a little bit simpler. I expected an A, B, C, even though we did get that rise in the immediate. We had with 2 kind of almost impulsive-looking rises, which ended up just falling short of resistance at 118.80. I did expect a kind of a 3-wave pattern to the upside to create a larger wave 2 and then spill down in wave 3. It just didn't turn out that way. So we had this wedge pattern to the downside with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in wave 1, and A, B, C in wave 2. And since that point, we've had this 1, 2, 1, 2, and a possible third wave of wave 3 brackets in brown. So what we should see next week, if all stays according to plan, we should see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in wave 3 pink, correction in wave 4, and then wave 5, and that will complete wave 3 brown. So the initial target for wave 3 brown is given by this Fibonacci extension here. Take the overall distance traveled in wave 1, projected from the high of wave 2, and you get the 161.8% projection, and that gives us a price of about 112.56. So we're looking about the 112 area from here. So we're up 116 right now. So we're still looking at a substantial fall into complete wave 3 with interim corrections, possibly 2 interim corrections that we'll be able to pick out. I can see wave 2 here definitely looks like a 3-wave pattern in wave 2 gray. we should get a excuse me, we should get either a contraction in wave 4 gray or a simple 3-wave pattern again, possibly a flat. See, that kind of probably counts as a flat, so maybe a zigzag correction in wave 4. Now wave 4 should stay below the low here of a double low, basically, of wave 1 pink and wave 1 gray. So we're talking about 117.21 as this that is the initial resistance there. I should have shown that on the recent chart, but 117, we could call it 117.20, and price should stay below that as wave excuse me, as wave 3 pink develops. So for Monday, short correction maybe in wave 4, and then a drop into wave 5 on maybe Tuesday area. Obviously we'll be counting this as we go along. So the main takeaway from euro dollar at the moment is that we may well have turned down into the long-term downtrend. We have obviously some hurdles to pass first before confirming that. We've broken previous support there at the previous 4th wave low on Friday. That was 116.60. And the next major support is at 111.20. Let's say that would be the previous 4th wave of the next degree higher. And excuse my frog in my throat right now. I think I've had too much coffee this morning. So initially, we want to stay below, what was that price again? 117.24 on Monday. Okay, so let's move into pound dollar. God forgive me. I don't think pound dollar is as further developed to the downside as euro dollar is. I think we still possibly have this 3-wave pattern underway here. The central wave B seems to count pretty well as itself a 3-wave flat in wave B, and I'm looking for a possible rally in wave C there. Wave C pink on Monday, Tuesday area. Again on Friday evening, after a collapse throughout the day, we did correct slightly higher, which could be the beginning of this wave C to the upside. And the initial target for that was at 133.40. So that was the previous wave A high. So possibly slightly higher than 133.40. Now, what changes that trajectory is a break of support at 130.25. You'll have to forgive my voice again. When you're up half the night with a baby, it's hard to maintain a good, consistent level of let's say, personal well-being and health. And my personal health is it's kind of like falling off a cliff and you just bounce along the bottom for a sustained period of time. So that's where I am right now. I'm just bouncing along, dead cat bounce along the bottom of the hill. So I'll start climbing. My little baby is nearly a year old now, and I suppose we'll start coming out of the woods now after she turns a year. All right, that was enough of a diversion. So for pound dollar, I want to see a rally into resistance there, 133.40 on Monday, Tuesday. If we get a break of, like, if we get a failed rally, say like a 3-wave failed rally, which doesn't break this previous wave B high, and then we get a spillover support again, and then we'll talk about get rid of that. Then we'll talk about that will probably trigger the alternate count, so that will trigger a wave 2 complete. Alrighty, let's move on to dollar yen. I updated this on Friday as a kind of a consequence of this sideways correction here, which I didn't rightly expect. We had a failed new low here in that that wave A, which I had firstly expected to break the previous low of marked wave 4 there, but the previous low of about 113.20, and that didn't happen, which was the first kind of alarm bell there Thursday evening. Friday we had a little rally and decline again. So I think the best way to view this right now is a 5-wave pattern to the recent previous high, interim high, and I'm calling that wave 1 brown. So we have a pretty clear, impulse move wave 1, a correction wave 2, impulse wave 3, correction wave 4, and impulse wave 5. So, and that overall gives us 5 waves up in wave 1. Now, we may be seeing a developing, either we have wave 2 complete at this low here, or we're seeing an expanded flat by breaking to a new high and correcting downwards there on Friday. Again, we might be seeing this expanded flat correction here, wave 2. So on Monday, scribbles, get rid of that. On Monday, we have previous support there, or sorry, not previous support. The previous 4th wave comes in at 113.23, and we have a 50% retracement at 112.95. So between those, that's the initial target, between 113.22 and 112.95. That's kind of an initial target for wave 2, and we'll see how that develops. If we get a further impulse break of wave 1, that'll kind of favor putting this wave 2 label into the previous low here, which again, excuse me, we do have a 3-wave decline, but it's quite shallow in terms of the larger pattern that's developing. So that's dollar yen. On Monday, I expect 113.23 popularly for initial support, previous 4th wave low. All right, anyway, let's move on to gold, which is hanging on a knife thread at the moment. We had a nice impulse pattern to the upside. Let's see how I can trace that out. I think in my view, a pretty clear impulse pattern to the upside. A nice 3-wave, wave 4 correction, and a wedge, wave 5. I think we may have another wedge within short proximity of each other. This can be probably counted as a kind of a complex zigzag, if you want to call it that. 5 waves down in A, and we have a running flat, which is where wave B extends lower than the beginning of the pattern, and wave C does not complete higher than wave A. So it's kind of it's a contorted type of corrective pattern. So wave B complete in a running flat, and then wave C, a possible 5-wave pattern to the downside in a wedge. So I think I know we might be bending reality here to come up with this, but in my mind, that's the best way to view it, given the fact that on Friday evening we saw a nice little impulsive pop to the upside again, so which took out 2 previous lows. So it's pointing back up again, which is saving the pattern for the moment. But obviously, we've got to be prepared for the worst. We don't know what's going to happen next week, even though I'd love to know. I'd love to be able to tell you the future. But even for my own trading and my own longer-term investing, and from an investment point of view right now, I think I'm long gold, big time. From a trading point of view, we still need to see some confirmation to the upside. Excuse me. And investing and trading are 2 completely different. People people mix these things up, and they shouldn't. They're two completely different animals. Investment is not maybe I'm speaking to the choir here, right? You already know this maybe, but investment is a longer term horizon activity. So I mean, from an investment point of view, I've been long gold, probably for the last 2 years. And I know it hasn't really gone much anywhere in terms of its percentage rise, let's say, but in terms of being an attractive investment, it's been an attractive investment for a while. From it being an attractive trade, we're talking about shorter term, entry and exit points, and an attractive trade probably hasn't reared its head right just yet, but we're probably very close to that point. And I've been mentioning 1306 over and over and over and over again, and a kind of a trigger point of 1291. The reason being, a break above 1290 area will kind of it'll swing short-term momentum higher, and a break above 1306 will kind of confirm a larger impulse move to the upside. So we're talking about, let's say on the 4-hour chart, we're talking about wave 1 red, wave 2 red, wave 1 green, wave 2 green, wave 1 blue, wave 2 blue. So 3 higher lows at 3 different degrees of trend, pointing to a kind of acceleration phase ahead in wave 3 red. So we could be talking about wave 3 of 3 of 3, 3 degrees of trend of third waves to the upside, which could be explosive. So there is an alternative count here, which could see this being an A, B, and a C, which we get again a higher low off 1204. I don't favor that at the moment. I still think that we'll see an acceleration phase sooner rather than later, just given the kind of let's say a feeling in the stomach of the pit of my stomach. So the wave pattern is pointing up. We have some confirmation points on the short-term charts. Early next week, that's kind of that's where I want to focus my attention, is these 2 confirmation points at both 1291 and 1306. All right, let's move on to the final market, which is crude oil. Now, again, this was kind of like a little kick in the teeth earlier on yesterday. I had expected a kind of a 3-wave pattern here, which didn't occur, but it has developed quite bullishly. On the short-term chart, if you can see, the price has used excuse me, the 200 period moving average as a kind of support over the last week, and we have seen successive new highs. And we switched obviously to the bullish alternate wave count, which if I walk you through it here, we have a wave 1, a wave 1 complete, a wave 2 complete, a wave in blue, a wave 1 up, and wave 2 complete in brown labels, a wave 1 up, and wave 2 complete in gray labels, and a wave 1 and 2 complete in pink labels. And that kind of rapid move to the upside was a wave 3 of 3 of a possible wave 3 brown of a possible wave 3 blue. So we've got 4 degrees operating here to the upside. Degrees of impulse wave 3 operating to the upside, and like I said during the week there, the upper target being in the $70 region. I'm getting interfered from the background here. So let's go to the 4-hour chart and see how we're faring out there. All right, so we had a longer term. If I go to the daily, actually, I want to show you how this is developed. So originally we had this A, B, C, D, E, and then a spill to the downside in wave 5 red. Now, break of previous highs has kind of switched focus to the alternate count, which sees wave A, B, and C up to a three-wave pattern up to about $70. So that's wave A up in green, A, B, C, D, and a possible wave E low there in a triangle wave B. And now we could be talking about another impulse 5-wave pattern up to complete wave 4 in the $70 range. Now, if you take the Fibonacci projection of wave A and you project it off that possible wave B, that gives you about $70.50. So the trend channel is pointing to that point, the pattern is pointing to that point, and the Fibonacci is pointing to $70 also. Okay, so we're looking at this 3-wave pattern in wave 4 red off the wave 3 low. So for next week, let's get down to the lower, higher resolution, sorry. We're on the hourly chart now, so let's get rid of that. Scribbles. And let's see what we can talk about in terms of confirmations, right? You can expect after a move like this that possibly on Monday early, maybe the overnight session, the Asian overnight session on Sunday, we might get a pop higher. We should get to see some sort of corrective phase in wave 4 pink. It should appear pretty early on in the trade. If not early overnight, we should see it probably on Monday morning. You definitely when the US comes online. So on Friday there, the price pretty much finished on the high, a couple of pips off the high. So we finished at about 54.20. Obviously, you'll see the price ticking here slightly because this is, again, a CFD product, so it'll trade over the weekend very, very likely, but it does track the actual cash market quite well. So what am I looking for on Monday? A kind of a general slide, maybe a pop to the upside and a general slide into wave 4 pink. So we want to start completing by Wednesday, probably start completing this 5-wave pattern, wave 3. Again, I have a kind of initial targets for wave 3 gray there at about $55. So we want to be hitting the mid-50s to complete wave 3. Then we'll be looking for a larger kind of a resting pattern there in wave 4. I don't want to see it. This wave 4, let's get a 4th wave up there. I don't want to see this. I want to see a shallow correction in wave 4, and I don't want to see a break into previous highs. I'd like to see even 53.11 to be left. And the previous 4th wave would probably hit in around the 54 area. So maybe a pop above into 55 to complete wave 3, and then a decline into 54 again for wave 4. And then we'll see another rally up into wave 5 of 3 in brown, if you can follow that. So for early next week, obviously we'll be tracking this throughout the week. I want to see an initial pop into complete wave 3 and then a sideways correction wave 4. So that completes the weekend video. It'll be Saturday afternoon by the time this is up. I hope you have a nice Halloween weekend, and I hope you enjoy it, and happy and peaceful weekend. All right, have a good one. God bless and goodbye, and we'll see you Monday evening. All going well. Bye-bye.